Well, Shirley Bovshow is here to answer some of your Facebook questions, and we're going to get right into it, Shirley. The first one is from Len Brown from Pennsylvania. I had a problem with my hydrangeas this past summer. No flowers. Could it have been because I cut the whole thing back to the ground last fall? Could it?
Yeah, you know, is it Len or Lena?
It might be Lena or Lenny.
Al.
Or no,
I would like to, you know, I have a stinking suspicion that you cut off the buds for this year's bloom, and that's why you don't have it. So I actually got a lot of questions about hydrangeas and why they're not flowering. The most important thing to keep in mind with your hydrangea, we have one right here, and this is normal for it to look like this. It's not that we've haven't done well with it, but you need to know what type of hydrangea it is. If it's a mop head, a lace head, or one of those new varieties that will bloom all the time. If you start pruning your hydrangea at the wrong time, you may cut off the blooms for next season. So it blooms on old wood, that's one type, another type on new wood. So know what it is, and also know that you don't really need to ever prune a hydrangea. Leave it alone unless it's got dead stems. That's the only time you really need to prune.
Yeah, they come back bigger and fuller than
exactly.
Teresa Martin from Oklahoma writes in and says, I've seen container gardening and want to know much more about it. Like, how much dirt do you need to grow veggies? Does it matter? And how can I grow in containers?
Yeah, it's so important how much space you give your plants to grow. Now, in the front here, I have a small container. This is about a 10-inch pot. Now, that is perfect for lettuce, for herbs that are not woody. And I mean, like, you know, rosemary has a woody system.
Right.
That's too small. But if you have basil, cilantro, oregano, perfect for that size. Now, a medium is great for a single, say, a pepper plant, a small pepper plant. You could also do like an eggplant in there. But you need to have like a 24-inch. See that big one there? That big container is for a single tomato plant. An indeterminate tomato that's going to keep growing throughout the season needs a lot of space. And one of the most important things to remember is when you're planting that tomato in that big container, at that moment is when you want to stake it. You don't want it to grow and then put it in. You might kill the plant with the roots.
Okay, the next one is from Kathy Sircosta Orloff from California. She says, I love to garden, except we just bought a new home, and the soil is rock hard. What can we use to condition the soil to start planting?
Now that is a common problem. If you're moving to a new home, a lot of times the construction will just kind of deplete the topsoil of that yard. So a lot of times you hit bedrock. Or if it hasn't been well conditioned, you will have that same problem. So here's what you have: 3 ways you can remedy this. The first one's my favorite. What you do is you rent a tiller and you just kind of soften the soil a little bit. First 6 inches, but then you grow on top of it a raised garden bed. That way you can bring in beautiful new soil and you don't have to kill your back. The other thing you can do is create a lasagna garden. It's kind of a funny thing.
A lasagna garden?
What you do is right on top of that hard pan, what you do is you put some wet cardboard, newspapers, kind of things that will give carbon to the soil, and then any of your clippings from the garden, and this is your nitrogen. So you do like maybe 2 feet, like, you know, like layers.
Is this
it's like sheet composting, and then it'll break down and loosen that soil. But that's going to take some time for that soil to improve. So I really do like the raised gardens bed. The raised gardens best.
Perfect.